Now, this is a very important video, and I think you're going to want to watch to the end because I have another content creator that I follow on Facebook, and I think she's on TikTok, and her husband passed away from alcohol use disorder about the same time my wife did, about 5 years ago. And apparently her family blamed his death on her. And she actually divorced the guy, and apparently he died about 45 days after the divorce. In fact, she actually continued to have conversations, and she actually shows text messages of how she was trying to help him after he was living with his own parents. And he had to move in with his own parents because economically, obviously, he was shot because he had been, drinking for years and years. And we're talking about a 36-year-old man who had to move back with his parents and ultimately died in their basement. And the family blamed the wife, and they had 4 kids. Wow. This is one of the reasons why I do this, because this kind of ignorance, this kind of intolerance by society in general has simply got to stop. And they're really, people have to understand similarities with other diseases. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And again, real quick, I have a complete coaching program when you're ready to stop messing around and you want to obtain sustainable sobriety. Click on the link above. Set up a breakthrough call. It takes about 45 minutes. We do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your family. It's for you and your family if you want to get them involved as well. The call is free. The course is definitely not. But I really want to help people who are ready to change their lives and the lives of their family. And one of the reasons why I bring this topic up about this person who's now a single mother with 4 kids to raise on her own without the father, and then to be blamed by the father's parents for that person's demise, is people need to look inward. And before they speak, they need to realize their participation in that person's life. Why was the son in the condition that he was in? Generally, it comes from family culture, hereditary disposition, some kind of maybe trauma, or some kind of family culture that may not be as kosher as one would think. So it's a gaslighting from the family on the person who really needed support more than anything at that particular time. Obviously, the wife needed support with 4 kids, without a husband, who died at age 36, and now she's raising 4 kids alone. I find it one of the most disgusting stories I've ever heard. This is something that just simply needs to change. People need to stop being so self-centered and really be able to look what's going on in the situation, period. And really in the same vein, when my wife passed away, nobody blamed me. It was never even part of the conversation. I mean, my wife went to 7 rehabilitation facilities. She had 4 DUIs, multiple emergency stays. I mean, first responders were regular entering our house on a regular basis. Let me put it that way, for a plethora of different reasons. We tried everything to try and save her. No one blamed me. Certainly her family didn't. In fact, they were not particularly surprised when she did pass away, unfortunately. And my family was my family was very supportive. No one blamed me. In fact, I never really even heard about people having a problem with me telling the story of my wife and how the road that she went down, and talking about her DUIs and talking about her illness. No one really blamed me until I got onto social media and people wanted to blame me. It must have been the husband's fault. And it just amazes me to be able to be in that position of entitlement and ignorance and lack of understanding and woefully lack of experience. I hope people learn something from this and they're able to actually step back and go, you know what, there's more to it here. This is a disease, guys. This is a mental health disease. It's an addiction. It's called alcohol use disorder. It's a mental disorder. Okay, and it's the same as food addiction, gambling, any kind of addiction. They all have a very same core issue: food, drugs, gambling, alcohol. They all have very core issues, and they all have very similar originations. To blame it on anything but the disease itself is simply absurd. On that note, a big part of this page is making people recognize that it's a family disease and that the alcoholic is 100% responsible for their own sustainable sobriety. I take great lengths to make the alcoholic understand really how they're affecting their family, how they're affecting not just themselves, how they're affecting their children, their parents, their spouses, and their own life for that matter. It's really essential because so many alcoholics just think, I'm only hurting myself, I'm not hurting anyone else. My wife used to have that attitude. And obviously, you're putting so many other people in harm's way. This is something that the alcoholic themselves have to have that realization before they're ever going to obtain sustainable sobriety, that they're hurting everyone in their circle, everyone in their life. And that has to become a motivator. That's how they're going to evolve. That's how if they're ever going to obtain sustainable sobriety, they have to recognize that at the very least. And the last thing real quick, if you want to understand how alcoholism affects the family, the memoir is called Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. You can find it in the link. You can go right to my website. There's also an international link. It's also on Amazon, Apple, and Barnes & Noble if you want the ebook. And again, thanks so much for listening.